welcome back to the Fantasy Football School. Today we're going to tier up my top 24 Dynasty quarterbacks entering the 2024 season as we ramp up startup draft for Dynasty leagues. Let's go. So we're going to start with tier 7. First quarterback in our tier is our boy from Tennessee, Will Levis. So I had an up and down rookie season. Had that amazing game 1. I think threw for like 4 touchdowns, but then the rest of his starts were pretty mediocre. But this offseason, looks like Tennessee, or at least, the ownership and GM front office, looks like they want to maximize his potential, at least for this upcoming season. Added Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, probably going to add tackle at pick number 7, or maybe a receiver. But they are giving him 1 year to show if he is the franchise quarterback. That's why he's pretty low, because he's just a second round pick. He could easily get replaced next offseason, and it's a big gamble, but I think it's gonna pay off. So if you're looking for a potential franchise quarterback that is cheap, look to add Will Levis. The next quarterback in this tier, actually let's add him in our tier list here. Will Levis, tier 7. Then moving on to the next quarterback in this tier, we got Bryce Young from Carolina. He had a horrible rookie season, just horrible. They're being picked 101. He had a massive fall in Dynasty leagues here. Essentially worth the same as Will Levis, which is wild, but hey, it is what it is. But at least the Panthers are now putting some investment in the offense. They got Deontay Johnson. They added a couple, O-line, should improve it. That should help Bryce Young. Although I think Will Levis is in a better spot so far. We'll see how the draft goes. That should help Carolina a bit. They do have 2 early second round picks. But anyways, let's finish up this tier with our last quarterback, tier 7, and that is our boy Baker Mayfield for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had an amazing prove-it year with the Bucks, and they rewarded him with a 3-year contract, almost 150 million, maybe 100 million. Anyways, essentially only 2 years is guaranteed. A lot of people may probably think this is too low for him, because it is, but like I said, he's only had 1 year of good football. He's been a journeyman before this, and I don't want to jump him up too high until he has another solid year. All 3 of these quarterbacks can definitely jump tier next season, but out of all 3, I think Baker we already know what he is. At best, he's that Kirk Cousins type quarterback in terms of fantasy, like a perennial QB2, but that is our tier 7. Finish up this tier with our boy Baker Mayfield and move on to tier 6. First quarterback in this tier, Deshaun Watson from the Cleveland Browns. So everyone's been waiting for him to come back to his form with the Texans. Fortunately, he hasn't, and he just keeps dwindling down in value. But there's still some of those that believe that he can get back. That's why he's still above those first 3 quarterbacks, because of that elite quarterbacking that he's shown in the past. And he's still fairly young, so there's still potential there. And if he does come back to that true form, he could definitely jump a couple tiers here. But for this season, his tier 6, and we can move on to our next quarterback here. That is Kirk Cousins, the new quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, with a fresh 4-year contract, essentially I think 3 years fully guaranteed, and an up and coming roster. Although right now it's not as good as the Vikings roster, but it's not that far off. There's no JJ, but there are a bunch of breakout candidate young players, and Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and I guess if you believe in Darnell Mooney like I do, Darnell Mooney. And next in this tier, we got Jared Goff. He's basically a younger Kirk Cousins at this point. He'll get you QB1 numbers, but for the most part, he'll gonna be an early QB2, depending on how good his offense is. And right now, they brought back Ben Johnson, so expect him to have another QB1 season. And finally, to round off this tier, let's finish up with Goff. And finally, Tua Tagovailoa. So A lot of people probably disagree with this one, him and being in this tier, but hear me out. Look, man, he's shown elite points in terms of Dynasty because of his skill players, but he hasn't really elevated them to be better. If anything, he's kind of holding them back because of his, weak arm. There's been instances where Tyreek beating coverage and Tua just underthrows him, and he has to make an amazing adjustment. And like I said, he was healthy this season and he's produced consistent numbers, but they could be better, and they're not. That's why he'll be in this QB2, essentially my prediction for the rest of his career. He's gonna get an extension that's probably gonna bump up his dynasty value once he does, but until then he's still on a 1-year contract, and there's like 5% chance they move from him. I don't think they will, because it's hard to find a quarterback. But Tua end out our tier 6 here. Probably surprising, but Jaden Daniels, he is gonna get a top 5 draft capital most likely, at worst top 10. That's why, like I said, with Jaden McCarthy, his value is going to be insulated because of that draft capital. First round contract, he's going to have 4 years to prove that he's the quarterback, unless he's so bad like, Zach Wilson or Mac Jones. But anyways, the reason why I have him above Jaden McCarthy, although I like Jaden McCarthy as an NFL quarterback more, but we're talking about dynasty fantasy football here, and his rushing ability just gives him that extra tier than JJ McCarthy. I'm not saying JJ McCarthy can't run, because he can. He's very athletic. It's just Jaden Daniels, it's part of his game. He's like one of my comp was what, RG3, less explosive RG3 kinda, even though they're both pretty explosive. But anyways, Jaden Daniels starting up tier 4 here. And moving on, we got another rookie quarterback, Drake May, who's one of my favorite prospects in this quarterback class. I think he's gonna go top 3. Like I said, value's gonna be insulated. It doesn't even matter which team they'll go to. The thing that matters is the draft capital will give him at the very least 3 years to prove that they are the franchise quarterback. So Drake May, another quarterback in this tier 4. Moving on, another quarterback is Anthony Richardson. A lot of you probably think, oh yeah, this is too low for A-Rich, which I understand, but my reasoning is, although he's shown, he can play in the league, he only survived like 4 games, and that's really concerning, especially because of how he plays. Hopefully he stays healthy. If he is healthy next season for like all season, he's definitely gonna jump a couple tiers here. But right now, he's only played 4 games. Although he looked good, he still needs to show a lot of improvement as a passer. But, he's shown flashes, which is good. But I can't still put him in that, upper tier until he does it for more than 4 games. And especially, with an injury history already. But anyways, let's move on to the next quarterback. Final quarterback in this tier is my boy, Trevor Lawrence. He's... I kind of struggle with this one. He could be in the next tier, but right now, 3 years into the league, he's been pretty mediocre in terms of fantasy. And as a quarterback, he's also been kind of mid. But the thing is, there's a lot of stuff going against him, but a lot of rookie quarterback deals with that, so he shouldn't get a pass. If anything, he's one of my buy low candidate this upcoming season, because he's going mid to late second in startup draft, and that's insane. I think A-Rich going like 1-2 turn ahead of Trevor. They're all in the same tier, but anyways, Trevor Lawrence rounding out tier 4 for me. And finally, let's get tier 3 quarterback. First quarterback in this tier had an amazing season, Jordan Amore. Dude was amazing, and honestly I struggled putting him in the next tier because it is just one season. He did look amazing. He had a good playoff run too, which is indicative of how successful he'll be, because playoff games are more indicative of how successful a quarterback can be in this league. It's not a lot of these quarterbacks make the playoff every year, and the fact that he was amazing in the playoff just gives that projection that he will be amazing going forward. as, you know, first quarterback in this tier, just to make sure, you know, this is not a ranking. Like, all these quarterbacks in the same tier can be ranked differently. The way they're coming out, it's just how I had them listed. So anyways, moving on to the next quarterback in this tier, that's my boy Kyler Murray from the Cardinals. I almost had him in the upper tier, but like I said, he's been hurt a lot. His offense kind of took a hit with Hollywood Brown leaving, although Hollywood wasn't really that amazing with the Cardinals, but still. Right now, they're going to the season with Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch. Kind of scary, but even when if for some reason they trade out of the pick 4, that's going to tank his potential for this season a little bit, or projection. So hopefully they take Marvin Harrison, so my Kyler Murray share skyrockets. But hey, anyways, Kyler Murray is a next quarterback in this tier. Let's move on. And the final rookie in this top 24 list, Caleb Williams, presumptive 101 in the NFL draft and Superflex rookie draft. He is going to have 3 years. He's going to walk into that amazing situation with elite weapons. All right, not that elite. DJ Moore's pretty good. Keenan Allen's pretty elite for his age right now. He had an amazing last year. I don't know why Chargers traded him, but anyways. And then they got DeAndre Swift. Although he's not elite, he's still, you know, pretty good compared to what they have. So basically the Bears are giving him the best chance to succeed, which is great. I don't think I've ever seen this in a rookie quarterback, especially at the 101. But let's move on to the next quarterback in this tier here, and that is the final quarterback in this tier. It's gonna surprise a lot of people. That is Justin Herbert. All right, so just like Kyler Murray, he could be in the other tier, but he's lost so much weapon. And I don't know how that new coaching staff is gonna utilize his talents, because they just cut Mike Williams. They shipped off Keenan Allen. There's no more Eckler. Essentially, his weapons right now are Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, and Gus Edwards. So, although he still has the elite potential to be a good fantasy quarterback, the offense around him just doesn't project well in terms of fantasy points this upcoming season. That's why I have him so low. And he rounds out my tier 3 here. Move on to tier 2. First quarterback in this tier, Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm not a big Hurts fan in terms of real life quarterback, but he's an amazing dynasty and fantasy quarterback. He's never made my tier 1 even after last year, because he's just limited as a passer, but as a runner, man, he's elite. He's one of the best. So I don't think he'll ever leave this tier 2 ever because of his rushing ability. But I think he's peak as a passer, but hey, nobody cares about that. He's good enough, you know, as a passer. But like I said, I think he's peak, so that's why his ceiling and floor is tier 2. But moving on to the next tier here. Next quarterback is Lamar Jackson. Same thing as Jalen Hurts, but with Lamar Jackson, he can still improve as a passer. He has an elite arm that can, you know, take him to the next level. He just hasn't had the weapons to show it. Although he did it with Hollywood Brown, but that was like 3 years ago. And he's improved as a passer, although incrementally. We just need him to get that, you know, that new weapon. Zay Flowers is good, but he's more of like underneath, middle of the field kind of receiver. Hopefully, you know, they get someone like Xavier Worthy or Brian Thomas to complement Zay Flowers. But Lamar Jackson, next quarterback in this tier. Finally, let's move on to Joe Burrows. I actually almost put Joe Burrows in tier 3, but having such elite weapons, I can't. Because when he's on the field, when he's healthy, he is an elite fantasy quarterback. That's why I still believe in him and have him here. But I wouldn't be opposed for people putting him in the next tier because of his injury history. Understandable, but as long as he has Jamar Chase and for this year T. Higgins, he'll always be in tier 2. Unless he gets hurt again, and hopefully not. But yeah, moving on to the next quarterback, we have the final quarterback in this tier, we got Rookie of the Year, CJ Stroud. So out of all the quarterbacks in this last two tiers, CJ Stroud and Jordan Love has a chance to go to tier 1. High chance. In the upcoming, if they repeat what they did, they are definitely tier 1 quarterbacks in my opinion. But I can't put them there yet after 1 year of one amazing year. So just for now, CJ Stroud leading tier 2. Let's move on to our final tier 1. It's basically everyone's tier 1, which makes sense. First, we got Patrick Mahomes leading the tier. Bro, he has had crappy wide receivers the last 2 years, and he still managed to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. He should be getting more weapons. He did get Hollywood Brown. They should draft another one. Unfortunately, Rashee Rice screwed himself today with the news, but if that shouldn't affect his 2024 season. He'll probably get suspended for 2025, depending on how fast that story unfolds. But Mahomes will always be tier 1. And final person, my 101 in basically every startup Superflex draft, Josh Allen. Just amazing fantasy quarterback. Unfortunately, he's terrible in the playoff, or not him, but like his team. He can't get over that hump. But as long as his rushing ability stays with him, even if he just does 50% of it, he'll still be a top 3 quarterback every year because of his arm strength. Unfortunately, this year he lost Gabe Davis. They did add Curtis Samuel. That should be like a wash, and I'm expecting him to get another receiver early, possibly round 1, most likely round 2. So that should keep his potential and projection this upcoming season. Top 3, probably top 2, most likely the QB1 again. Hopefully everybody stays healthy, but yep, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, rounding out my tier 1, S tier, whatever you guys call it. So let's do a quick, recap here. Tier 1, Josh Allen, Mahomes. Tier 2, Stroud, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. Tier 3, let's just do a little here. So, like I said, Jordan Love, CJ Stroud had a chance to go to tier 1. Tyler, Caleb, definitely a chance to go to tier 2. Trevor, A-Rich, Drake May, Jaden Daniels had a chance to go to tier 2 with a good season. Brock McCarthy, probably tier 3. And then Will Levis and Bryce Young can jump to like tier 4. They have a good season, but everyone else, Tua, can jump to tier 5, tier 4. But I don't know, man. I just don't believe he can elevate his game as much as he has already. So pretty much that's my top 24 quarterback for this upcoming 2024 season. I'll make a top 24 wide receiver tier list, top 24 running back tier list, and probably like a top 12 tight end. Eventually, as we head into the NFL draft. But thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later. Peace.